Thanks for listening to Middle Aged and Mediocre. I'm Cash.
I'm Joel.
And we are a podcast about all things strange and unusual, death and UFOs, and other creepy,
Cults,
weird, random
ghosts.
There you go.
Yeah. Not just naming things in the room.
Oh my god.
There's a cult of ghosts.
Welcome back to Middle Aged and Mediocre. I am Cash, and as always, he is all of the adult Happy Meal I'll ever need. Here with Joel.
I'm a good boy.
He's a good boy.
Good boy.
So I got a question for you. I got a couple questions for you real quick.
Right out the.
Yeah, easy ones though, real quick. Just
Okay.
yes or no responses.
Okay.
Do you give a shit about Super Mario Brothers Chris Pratt's voice in
No.
Mario? Do you give a shit that Velma is a lesbian?
No.
Do you give a shit that Little Mermaid is black?
No.
All right, we're good to go.
Oh yeah, we're still friends.
We're still friends.
Is that how you're like it?
I just
Like it's been a while, I just want to make sure that we're still compatible.
thought maybe if any of those answers were yes,
If any of them are yes,
we
you
got
just-
something to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure that we're all on the same page. That none of that shit matters.
Not at all.
All right.
Good for them.
Yeah.
All of them.
Good for everybody involved.
Yeah.
All of these fictional characters, that have no historical relevance.
Yeah.
In real life.
They're just made up.
Yeah, but they're different now. So
Yeah.
I will say it's weird that Velma. There's this, and I never even realized that I watched the trailer for that Velma show
Yeah.
that's coming out. Not once did I realize that Scooby Doo's not even in it.
Oh yeah.
But Scooby Doo's not in it.
Well, if he was in it, it'd be Scooby and Thelma, because Scooby's always top star.
And they were kind of like, hey, we didn't really know how to make an adult cartoon show where Scooby was like an adult-themed character.
Yeah.
So I was like, that makes sense. But I was like, wow, it's pretty crazy that I never once thought, like, where's Scooby-Doo at?
So the rest of them in it?
Sort of.
Yeah.
Like, Shaggy is a black guy now.
Well, maybe he just has a dog.
Named
He'll just have
Norval?
a dog, yeah.
Because that's apparently his,
I think that's
his
his
legit
real name.
His
Yeah.
legit real name.
Yeah.
And then, Fred and
Daphne.
They're both, but like everybody's animation style is different. So I don't know how that's gonna work.
See, I hadn't even heard about this. I thought maybe it was going to be like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but it was just Thelma.
No, it's like a adult animated show coming to, I think.
Adult? They going to be fucking?
Probably fucking.
Damn.
Probably some fucking going on, maybe. I don't know.
Cartoon fucking?
It's Mindy Kaling from
All
The
right,
Office,
yeah.
voicing Velma. She's a lesbian.
She's a lesbian?
That's the big point they're putting out there.
I refuse to watch
Everybody's
it.
mad, but yeah, like they did, like they released like all the characters have like their own little, like their name,
yeah.
and, like their name and like shows what the character looks like,
Uh-huh.
and all four have different animation styles. So
One of them better have a pet dog or something.
I don't know.
They'll have like a pet fucking ferret named Scooby.
Yeah.
And when it poops, they'll be like, "Oh, watch out for that Scooby Doo."
Yeah.
Do.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'm a writer for the show.
I was just saying. Have you been contacted by the show to write for them?
Oh yeah, we got 10 episodes in what do they call
Can.
it? In the can.
In the can. Yeah.
That's it.
You know,
I was thinking like bucket.
I know you're on the inside, but you don't need to worry about the insider terms.
Yeah.
I got you.
Thanks. In the thing.
Right
in the can.
Real quick, since we've been doing some horror movie reviews, I got a real quick review of...
I'm jealous. I seen it.
I went and watched Smile.
I know.
Have you seen it yet?
My phone must have been broken when you went.
Well,
I
didn't know, like, if you were third wheeling. Third wheeling. So
You didn't want to put me through that.
Didn't want to put you through that.
Yeah. I would just stare at you guys.
And, like, there was dinner.
I would just stare at you the whole time trying to feed you lines.
There was dinner afterwards.
Oh.
I couldn't afford to pay for your dinner, too.
Okay. So you made a choice, her over me.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
I don't blame you.
So we went on Smile. I kind of was like, I don't think it's going to be very good. I think they probably gave away everything in the trailer, which was, I was like, it's probably going to be a pretty average horror movie. It turned out it is pretty fucking good.
I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah, like I thought everything in the trailer was everything that you were going to get. No, there's quite a bit more.
Is that Hillary Swank in it?
No, it is not. I thought it was Claire Danes. So
Okay. Well,
it's
neither one of them.
It's a girl named Sosie Bacon.
Okay.
Which is just sounds delicious. And then it's got Kyle Gallner. He's in a lot of horror movies. Always dies.
Yeah.
I won't give away whether he does or not in this. And then
Don't spoil it at all.
It's got not a lot of recognizable people.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's really good.
Cool.
I
like the viral marketing they've been doing with it, just like
people showing up baseball games.
Yeah, just smiling all big, crazy looking.
And the best is to watch everybody around them just be like, keep looking at them, be like, what's going on? What is this?
You don't trust anyone.
Are you going to stop doing that?
Yeah, please.
And there's somebody filming you.
That could be your Halloween costume this year.
Just smile.
Just smile.
I hate smiling.
I know. I think it would be the first time I'd ever seen you smile. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You keep trying.
I know. I'm gonna find the right spot to tickle you.
Good luck. I'm not saying this. The worst, so there is a parts of the movie though where you're it gets to a certain point, I guess, where because the whole thing is the Sosie Bacon. She plays a character named Rose.
Uh-huh.
She's she works in a hospital with patients who want to hurt themselves. Whatever. And she runs into this patient who ends up killing herself in front of Rose. And transfers this entity, like a curse, almost to her. So then she's kind of trying to get away from this curse.
Sounds like Shocker.
It's kind of like Shocker, kind of like It Follows.
It Follows, and also the one with oh gosh, the fella from the airport, Denzel Washington. He's in one where the thing keeps moving around.
Fallen?
I don't know.
John Goodman?
Is that Denzel Washington too, where the guy whistles the song or something?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, but
maybe
there's a couple movies like that. But cool, I'll watch it.
There's a point where you're just if this is happening to you, and it makes you see things and all this, but at a certain point, there's a scene towards the end, and I won't give it away, but if it was me, I would just be just do the fucking smiling thing and let's just come on. I know what you're gonna do. And it makes I hate when they make characters have to really dumb themselves down.
Yeah.
Because it's playing such big mind tricks, and it's well, no, I know what's happening to me. But there is a part. There is throughout the movie, it made me realize that I'm apparently not like a lot of people, because I've talked to a couple people and they all said no, they're just out as soon as this is happening. But if somebody were to come to you and be so there's this fucking curse and I'm cursed, and there's this, would you just be yeah, you're crazy?
Yeah,
or would
probably.
You,
I don't know. Maybe I'd listen just to some people. That's all they need is someone to listen.
See, you tell me there's a ghost or something. I'm all right, let's get to the bottom of this.
I'll hear you. Yeah, I'll hear him out.
Let's figure this shit out.
Yeah.
Because I've seen too many horror movies. I don't want to be the asshole that's okay, you're just nuts. And then I die.
Yeah.
Every time.
I'll be that asshole.
Okay. I've asked you a few times today, am I an asshole? All right, but yeah, I recommend going to watch Smile. It is way better than I thought it was going to be.
Out of 10? 1 out of 10?
6.5.
What'd the girl say?
6.5. She liked it. I didn't ask her for a rating.
You should have. You should have.
Pseudo-Zimmer.
Go for a kiss before you kissed her. Be wait, though. The movie, though.
What do you think about the movie? 1 out of 10.
1 out of 10.
Between 1 and 10, what you got? Remember, a 10 is
you have the best. Explain the rating system to her. She's I've never heard of this.
And if you go with 8, then you're saying that there's a whole bunch of other movies.
Because I read reviews about though.
Yeah, I'd say 6.5.
All right.
So
cool.
Pearl's still definitely the best thing
Yeah.
I've seen all year, with Barbarian right behind it. Couple numbers down probably, but
that and Everfall.
And Everfall.
We brought that up.
Go back and find our Everfall review if you want to hear about a real good horror movie.
Woo!
It's so mysterious. We don't know what happened.
We forgot it immediately.
No, I don't. I unfortunately didn't forget it. Yeah. I remember all of that shit. It just doesn't explain anything. And nothing makes sense.
Ghost people at the rink or something?
There's a
ice skating competition?
And there's a ice skating move that is apparently deadly, but we don't ever see it or hear about it again.
Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe we fell asleep for those 10 minutes.
Go find our Everfall review. I think that we were in a cursed state during that whole movie.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we've been haunted since then.
I can believe it.
And that was all because you made a trip to the dollar store. Yeah. You came over
I'm in that dollar store a lot.
I know you are. I went in there.
They're like, Joe!
I went in the other day to look for something, and I saw all the DVDs, and I was like, there's so many DVDs for Joel to buy.
Better days.
All right. Well, we got a pretty big story. I shouldn't say big, like it's a huge breaking news.
Yeah.
We got kind of a long story today. It's one that you brought to my attention.
Yeah, I did.
So you're
look at it is what I said.
You're pretty familiar with it. But you want to go ahead and dive into it?
Yeah.
All right. So
at first,
this takes place in 1987, and
I'm kind of glad we're getting back to like a true crime. This is a mystery true crime. So it's not like I don't know, but it's
this is
such an interesting story.
A lot of sketchy shit going on with true crime,
and a lot of ACAB.
Yes, sirree.
But yeah, that's 1987.
Okay. We're going to Bryant, Arkansas. We've been there before.
Arkansas.
It's a Saturday night. It's August 22nd in old Bryant, Arkansas. And 16-year-old Don Henry and 17-year-old Kevin Ives are headed out to meet some of their friends from high school at just like in a parking lot.
Yeah. That's what you did when you were 16, 17, before the internet. This is well before the internet, 87. I was like 8 years old then.
I was 4.
Yeah. So, but, I mean, I knew what was happening.
Yeah, but I feel like this still, that's a thing that still happens. The people like the car club guys.
Yeah.
I
always say something bad.
Oh, I hate them.
People when I drive by, they're just trying to exist like the rest of us.
Sure.
But I just see them like, let's meet up in
they're losers.
Let's meet in the Denny's parking lot. Look at their cars.
It's so dumb. So dumb.
I just want to pull up in my Kia Forte. I'm like, what's up, fellas?
Yeah, I'm going to pull up in my fucking minivan. What's up, guys? You're right, though. They're just trying to exist.
Yeah, they're just trying like the rest of us. But
why do we hate them so much?
We're such pricks. We're assholes. It's been proven.
Yeah, I don't like groups of people. It doesn't matter.
Just enjoying themselves?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what they're doing. I'm just like, no, I don't like this. Because I don't trust it. Nothing good happens when a bunch of white people get together. Ever. Nothing ever is good happen. So, they're just a couple of normal high school kids. They enjoyed working on the cars. They enjoyed hunting, going out with their girlfriends. So, they're hanging out with all their buddies from high school in a parking lot. They decide around midnight or so that they're going to head out, and they're staying at... they're going to go to Don's house and stay the night there. So they get back to Don's house around 12:15 or so. Don grabs a .22 rifle and one of his dad's spotlights, because they're going to go down by the railroad tracks and spotlight for animals.
If I had $1 for every time I've done that.
It's illegal.
Yeah.
So shouldn't be doing it.
But,
So, maybe they deserve what about happened to them.
No.
I'm not going to say that. I did. That's a joke.
God damn.
But yeah, spotlighting, you use this brass
blind
spotlight.
the animals.
Blind the fucking animal and shoot it. It's shitty.
Yeah. But they're kids. Kids do shitty things.
Yeah. So that was around 12:15 is when they took off for.
And Don's dad saw him. He was still awake, and he's like, "All right, have fun."
Yeah. They had a little chat with his dad. So around 4 a.m., there was a 6,000-ton cargo train that was about a mile long, making its regular nightly run north from Texarkana to Little Rock.
A mile long. That's a mile.
That's a whole mile.
A whole ass mile. It would take me 11 minutes to jog from one end to the other. Yeah.
Even if it's moving, does that make you go faster or slower?
It depends on which way it's moving. If it's going backwards, I'm going to get to that front a whole lot faster.
So it's going about 52 miles an hour down these railroad tracks. And right around the time it's approaching the town of Bryant, it's already passed through the town of Bryant. It's approaching the town of Alexander. The engineer noticed two figures, like two, humans.
Yeah.
Laying down across the tracks, covered in on the waist down with a light green tarp.
And I think it was basically at their knees.
Their
knees were on the track, so their legs were off the track, but most of their body was inside
was mostly in the tracks.
Uh-huh.
So he hit the horn, Started trying to get an emergency stop going, but less than 5 seconds later, without any movement coming from either of the figures on the tracks, the train made impact with the bodies, carrying them for half a mile before the train was able to come to a complete stop.
Yeah, they tried to. I mean, they were blowing the whistle, and
I mean, at that point,
I think there's 3 people in the train that all said they saw, the 2 bodies, the tarp, and
at that point, not a whole lot you're going to be able to do.
Yeah.
I mean, so there was an EMT on the scene that had noted that the boys' blood looked darker than it should, like it lacked oxygen, which would mean they were already dead.
Yeah.
And that the blood was oozing instead of like fresh. Their skin was colorless. So, yeah, according to this EMT, he indicated that the boys had probably been dead for quite some time before being even put on the tracks. So, the boys were able to be identified as Kevin Ives and Don Henry. At their autopsies, Dr. Fahmy Malik, the state medical examiner, concluded that the 2 boys had smoked as many as 20 marijuana cigarettes, causing them to lay on the tracks in a stupor, pass out, and not hear or feel the approaching train. He then ruled the deaths an accident due to marijuana intoxication. Interestingly enough, the hospital where the boys' bodies were taken and where the initial examinations were performed never had a record of them being there.
Huh.
So, probably should. 2 persons came forward shortly after and said that they had heard gunshots shortly before Don and Kevin were hit by the train. The county sheriff's office assured the families that tests would be done on Don's gun to see if it had been fired, and the tests were never conducted. As early as Wednesday, August 26th, the Arkansas Democrat was reporting that the only thing Saline County authorities are sure of in the case is that foul play wasn't involved. They're positive about that. They know that.
Get that eliminated immediately.
We don't know much about
so much
shit.
we don't have to investigate it.
Yeah, and we're not going to.
No. Couple high 16-year-olds.
This at the same time that the initial investigation had managed to miss locating one of Kevin's feet, which had been discovered by one of the Henry family, as well as parts of Don's gun and other personal belongings, which had all been overlooked during the investigation.
We gotta get all this stuff?
We gotta get his whole body?
My job?
Every part of his body has to go?
God.
What do we need his foot for?
I found the other one.
He's not going to use it.
You got 1 foot.
The Ives and Henry families weren't so quick to agree with authorities. Larry Ives, Kevin's father, who had actually worked for the railroad and until recently had the train route that would have put him on the train that hit his son.
Damn.
Yeah. So narrowly missed that. He hired a private investigator to look into what happened, but as he later said, the investigator was met with resistance from different authorities, preventing them from really getting anywhere. Linda Ives, Kevin's mother, criticized Saline County Sheriff James H. Steed Jr., who had said repeatedly that there was nothing at the scene to suggest anything more than a simple but strange accident. Dan Harmon, an attorney in Arkansas, who at the time had no official role in the case, approached the families and offered to help them by making a deal with Steed in February of '88 that if the Henrys and the Ives family withdrew their criticism of Steed and supported him, they would receive the investigation they wanted.
Oh.
Now, ain't that some shit?
Yeah.
Now, you quit making fun of me and you quit saying
I'll do my job.
I mean, I might do my goddamn job.
You quit saying that I don't do my job. I might do my job.
What a scumbag. At roughly the same time, about 6 months after the deaths, the Henry family received Don's belongings from the medical examiner's office. Don's stepmother found a partial bag of marijuana.
So they smoked 20 joints each and still had some weed left over.
There was about
and they wanted to return that to the family?
There was about 1.9 grams.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that even...
It's not a lot. It's more than what I had when I was arrested for it.
Okay.
But, I didn't get hit by a train.
Gotcha. They found that in the pocket of Don's jeans, leading the family to wonder what else the investigation...
A little over half an eighth.
Okay. The Ives and Henry families then held a joint press conference. They announced that Dr. James Garriott of San Antonio, Texas, offered a second opinion on Dr. Malik's findings. Dr. Garriott concluded that it was highly unlikely because, again,
Vent
we're
highly.
talking about THC here. Highly unlikely for any amount of THC exposure to have the effects that Malik alleged. Furthermore, Dr. Garriott said the only reliable test for the presence of drugs in the boy's system was mass spectrometry.
Yep.
A word with spectro in it.
Sure.
And
what kind of drug is that?
Sounds good. And that had not been performed. So Dr. Arthur J. McBray.
I don't think you could smoke 20 joints.
I mean,
from 10 to 4 o'clock, like your throat would be fucking raw.
Yeah, that is.
Like I've had nights where I've smoked like 8 blunts, but it's like over a good amount of time, drinking a bunch, getting after it. These are a couple high school kids that are like trouncing through the woods. Like,
they actually went out there. Yeah, so they went out there 12-ish.
Yeah, and were found at 4.
So 4 hours,
Yeah.
20 joints.
It's
what, 5 an hour?
Yeah,
That's a lot.
That's a lot of fucking weed to be smoking. It's just so obviously not true.
That's chain smoking.
That's like people that's just never even been around weed, or like is this 1929 and remember the Reefer Madness
yes.
movie? This is from Reefer Madness.
Which, hey, we did a whole episode about the some of the origins of that, by the way. So go back and look for that. You can look for it under, I believe it is the episode about the real story behind the Scream killings.
Is that
the movie Scream?
Your memory's better than mine.
Yeah, well, there's a little bit of reason for that.
It's on my head from my wrestling career. All the
you had a lot
hits to the head.
You had one concussion, so, compared to my countless.
You wrestled
a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. So Dr. McBray, a toxicologist from North Carolina, deemed Malik's conclusions very bizarre, and that he had never heard of anyone becoming unconscious from exposure to any amount of THC.
Yeah.
Now, that's not true.
Yeah. I definitely take a lot of weed naps. But, anything wakes me up. I can't imagine laying on a track with a mile-long train barreling at you, not moving at all. And you forgot they didn't even recover the tarp either. That was another thing that they were like, yeah, there wasn't a tarp. And that, like all the 3 guys, and they were like, we saw a tarp.
Yeah.
And the police were like, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't. Well, yeah, we did.
But you didn't.
You didn't.
We got a gun.
So,
Our gun says you didn't.
Plus, okay, let's just go ahead and say that one of them passed out from smoking a lot of marijuana.
Uh-huh.
There is not a chance in fucking hell that 2 people are going to both pass out from it's not going to happen.
And they lay down just right beside each other.
Not going to happen. Yeah, that's the dumbest shit.
I'm like 3 feet away from you recording this, and I want to get a little bit further away. And it's nothing personal.
No, it's just I like space.
Yeah, I like my space. I'm not going to be
I got super high.
Let's lay down shoulder to shoulder on this
if I got
railroad
super
track
high and lay down on the railroad tracks, and you lay down directly beside me,
my arms touching.
I'd be like, dude, what the fuck? Just give me a little bit of space, man. If you want to hold hands, that's fine, but at least
let's spread out some.
What are you?
I just need you close to me, Cash.
Yeah, I'd be like, what are you even doing?
I just need you close.
Also, turns out train tracks are super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So why are we doing this?
It's like,
I don't care how high I am. Also, if I'm really high, I want to be comfy.
Yeah.
I'm not laying down on railroad tracks. Are you fucking... I'm finding a grassy spot.
Yeah, they're in the forest. Go find the fucking anthill to lay on.
So, clearly, So the families hoped that the investigation would be reopened by their speaking out, and it was. The following day, the case was officially reopened. Newly assigned prosecutor Richard Garrett had Kevin and Don exhumed for second autopsies, around the same time that Dan Harmon was appointed by a circuit judge to head a county grand jury investigation as a special prosecutor. Yeah, definitely put the guy in charge that tried to broker a deal where the sheriff will do his job if you quit making fun of him and being mean about it.
Well, they can't hire an outsider.
It's true.
It's called the Good Old Boys Club for a reason.
Yeah.
All right?
Especially down
They're good old boys. That's a good boy.
Especially in our
I
days.
recognize it, you know?
I know. You got that radar. The good boy radar.
The good old boy dar.
The second autopsy was performed by Georgia medical examiner Dr. Joseph Burton. Dr. Burton found that Don and Kevin had minimal marijuana in their systems, the equivalent of one joint between the two of them.
By one, do you mean 20 each?
Like, you mean one big one that could make 20 smaller ones? He also opined that Don had been stabbed in the back.
Ugh.
And
the train stabbed him?
That's what the cops were like. Well, the trains are equipped with knives on the front that like to stab. And that Kevin had suffered a crushing blow to his skull that had not come from the train. Easy things to miss.
Yeah.
When you're
not looking
at this.
It's easy to miss when you rule it out immediately. Yeah. Well, first off, nothing out of the ordinary happened
not
here.
Not a thing.
Bury these two.
Quickly. In his professional opinion, one of the boys was already dead, and the other was already unconscious at the time that their bodies were stuck by the train.
Makes more sense why they wouldn't move out of the way of a fucking train.
A grand jury ruled that the deaths of Don and Kevin were probable homicides. There would be a third autopsy performed at Garrett's request. This pathologist took a closer look at Don's clothing and Kevin's body. He found evidence of stab wounds on the shirt Don wore that night, but which he was not wearing at the time his body was struck by the train, that corresponded with the wounds on his back. In Kevin's case, he found the bludgeoning wound on the left side of Kevin's head was similar to the butt of Don's .22 rifle, and the rifle had been seen laying parallel to both boys by the train crew.
Yeah.
Before the impact.
They saw the rifle. And the parents, I can't remember which boy had the rifle, but they were like, he wouldn't have put his rifle in the in the rocks there.
Curtis Henry, Don's dad, said that his son would never have risked scratching the gun by placing on gravel.
When there's grass right there that he could have placed it in. But he was high on them marijuana cigarettes.
Apparently a half of one really, this was some good Arkansas.
And that's what I remember about early weed in 1987. It was really potent.
Yeah, no, I didn't partake in 1987, of course, but from what I have heard, it was not exactly.
Dirt weed, I believe, is expression.
Especially if
that's what I started on, where like you just had to pick all the stems and seeds
especially
out.
if you're a 16 or 17-year-old kid living in backwoods Arkansas, you're not getting the good shit.
I don't think so.
So, the second autopsy ruling was overturned, and the deaths were officially classified homicides. Garrett questioned the green tarp that the train crew had been seen reported. The tarp had disappeared, and Garrett wanted to know who had covered Don and Kevin and why. Local police claimed that the train's engineer had never mentioned seeing a tarp before impact, and the engineer said the police questioned the tarp's existence from the start of the investigation. So kind of like what you said.
Yeah.
Where he's like, hey, there's a tarp. No, there wasn't. Lead service that in the week
I guess
before,
they were covered with the tarp. I mean, obviously someone put them there, maybe just to try to make it where they wouldn't see
You
them.
really wouldn't see it at all. You wouldn't think. And it may have been covering them and even blew down a little bit or something. Yeah. Leads began to surface in the week before Don and Kevin were killed. A man in military fatigues was seen near the train tracks. His unusual behavior aroused suspicion, and police were called. When the responding officer stopped to question him, the man opened fire and fled. The officer who had taken cover in his vehicle was not struck, but a search immediately following produced nothing, and the suspect was never found or identified.
Because this police force is awful.
Mm-hmm. On the night of August 22nd, or the 23rd, 1987, witnesses again reported seeing a man in military fatigues less than 200 yards from the bodies of Kevin and Don would be found. Once again, police could not locate him. Rumors began and then intensified that the murders of Don and Kevin were tied in with a drug.
Yeah. Look, I can't speak your fancy language, Josh.
Don and Kevin.
You're in America. Speak American.
I'm trying so hard. Their deaths were tied in with drug trafficking.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was trying to say. Nearby in...
Probably who they bought all the joints off of.
Probably. Nearby in Mena, Arkansas, about 160 miles west of Little Rock, that town, whatever, had ties to the cocaine trade, thanks to a dude named Barry Seal, who had been gun running and smuggling cocaine for the Medellin cartel out of Colombia.
Cool dude.
That's fucking what's his name's cartel? Escobar.
Oh.
Yeah, so he was, running.
John Escobar?
John Escobar. He was a pilot by trade. He used low-flying planes to airdrop drug packages in remote areas of Louisiana. Then a ground team would hurry up out there and pick them up. The number of planes that he had about 12, and the frequency of his flights. However, soon alerted Louisiana State Police and federal investigators, and Seal moved his operation from Louisiana to that small Arkansas area called Mena, something like that.
Because no one gives a fuck about the people.
No.
I mean, it's a small country town.
He was also a covert CIA operative, so he was a double agent.
Oh.
He was murdered in February of '86 in a blaze of gunfire after a hit was put out on him by the cartel. But the story was that the drug trafficking had continued with a high-profile politician involved in his place. It was whispered that Kevin... Have you ever watched on Netflix the whole thing about Escobar?
No.
That series? What the fuck's it called?
Escobar?
No, it's not called that.
Narcotics? Narco?
Yeah, Narco.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. It's good, man. Yeah.
It's crazy fucking times.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Apparently so. It was whispered that Kevin and Don may have unintentionally...
You ever smell that shit? Smells pretty good. Wink.
It was whispered that that Kevin and Don may have unintentionally stumbled upon one of these drug drops, or maybe a cash drop, because they would cash drop. Or
maybe intentionally. Maybe they were out.
Yeah, or they just knew the shit was happening. And they were out looking for one. So that'd be a good 80s movie, kind of Stand By Me-ish.
Yeah.
And they were killed as a result of stumbling onto it or finding it. So in the fall of '88, a year after the murders, Unsolved Mysteries featured the case in one of their episodes. Is that where you saw it?
Robert Stack. Yeah.
Okay. So did you see it then, or is it something that you stumbled on?
I probably did watch it then, but once I heard about this on another podcast, I went and watched it again, because I used to watch the fuck out of
other podcasts, Joel.
I mean the news. That's what I call the news.
Son of a bitch.
That's what I call the news. You literally did another podcast while we were doing this podcast, and I can't even listen to another one.
I like the way you worded that. Sounded like you were saying, I'm doing a second podcast during this one right now.
Yeah.
Which maybe I am.
Yeah.
Maybe
you turn it away and talking into your armpit.
Yeah, that's where I keep the other mic. So let me see. But Robert Stack, he alleged on the show that Don and Kevin saw something they shouldn't have seen and had to do it, and it had to do with drugs.
Well, I don't think it was I see you walking your dogs in the woods. Yeah. Oh, no, they caught me!
Yeah, they clearly, something happened.
Yeah. Nefarious. That's a good word.
Nefarious.
Nefarious.
Let's just have fun with words for a while.
Yeah, man. The word is that's a word? Is the word? Ward? Word?
Okay, that's the way I gotta stop. Now every word I'm looking at on this thing is...
What is even words?
What even is
who's
this, man?
just I'm going to make up a language. How do you make a fucking language?
We just take different words and put them together,
sounds. Man. But before they were words, they were just sounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck.
It's all weird, isn't it?
It's our tongue just knows what to do in our mouth for each word as we're fucking saying it. We don't have to think about it.
And it's nothing really means anything.
No.
Because somebody just said this is what this means. Well, who do you get to say?
Yeah, it's just...
Why do you get to say that's what this means? I didn't agree to that.
This is a killer podcast.
Although the grand jury had announced that the boys' death may have been related to drug trafficking, Sheriff Steve refused any funds that might aid in the investigation.
Good luck!
I will not take the money for this investigation because I ain't doing an investigation.
Yeah. Not until y'all quit saying such mean things about me.
It was also discovered that Steed lied about where he had sent Don and Kevin's clothing for examination. Rather than sending the items to the FBI, as he claimed he had done, he instead sent them to the Arkansas State Crime Lab. Perhaps not unsurprisingly, Steed was not reelected following the involvement in the case. On November 10th...
Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions.
Yeah. Goddamn, they'll always catch up to you.
Yep.
On November 10th of '88, only 2 days after Steed lost his re-election bid, 43-year-old Keith McCaskill, an alleged informant of Dan Harmon, was killed. Something of a legend for breaking up barroom fights with or without weapons. He was a big dude, stood about 6'2", over 200 pounds. McCaskill had been stabbed 113 times. It's a lot.
That's a lot.
Figure,
I mean, how many joints was that person on? 113 times.
His body was found in the carport of his home.
I say he put up a fight.
I would say so. Wrapped in a flowered shower curtain. The home throughout was splattered with blood. Well, yes. McCaskill,
Where all his blood come from?
McCaskill, believing he had been speaking with the wrong people and saying that he was being followed by 2 police officers who had been named as suspects, had prepared his own funeral arrangements and told his family and friends goodbye only days before his murder.
Oh, damn.
Because he knew,
yeah,
you don't prepare your own funeral arrangements usually, unless you know. In August of 1989, Ronald Shane Smith, a 19-year-old neighbor of McCaskill's, who was considered slow by some, was sentenced to 10 years for McCaskill's murder. Following Smith's conviction, another prison inmate claimed that he had been offered $4,000 to kill McCaskill. Smith later said that he had been at McCaskill's home to pay him for items he had purchased, including a silver tray for his mother, when 3 men in clown masks burst into the home, with 2 carrying knives and 1 with a gun. Smith claimed to have been held at gunpoint by one man, while the other 2 killed McCaskill. Then, according to Smith, the men ordered him at gunpoint to stab McCaskill, at which point they took a Polaroid photo of him doing it and used it to blackmail him into taking the rap for the murder. McCaskill was a known...
If that dude really stabbed somebody 103 times, you only give him 10 fucking years. Yeah. I don't think there's much like rehabilitation after stabbing someone 113 times.
Well, and...
It's not an accident, 113... Yeah, I don't think that kid did it. I think...
Yeah, like... They didn't have like a motive.
Yeah.
They couldn't come up with a motive why he would do this.
He's just an easy person to pin it on.
You're not going to stab someone 130 times for no reason.
Yeah, you're doing it because he's fighting back, and there probably is more than one. Because that guy was a badass.
Yeah.
And it probably took, all 3 of them to...
So, McCaskill was a known drug user and assumed dealer and had been suspected of being at the train tracks when Kevin Ives and Don Henry were killed. 2 days before his murder and before it was announced that Steed had lost the election, he had reportedly said publicly that if Steed lost the election, his life would not be worth 2 cents. So he had something on, somebody had something on him. They were probably afraid he was going to go and spill what he knew. So on January 22nd, 1989, a 26-year-old man by the name of Greg Collins, who had been subpoenaed to testify before a grand jury with regard to the deaths of Kevin and Don, was found in the woods of Prescott, Arkansas, with 3 shotgun blasts, 2 to his chest and 1 to his face. Collins had reportedly left his home to go hunting. It was said prosecutor Garrett and Dan Harmon had questioned Collins shortly before his murder. Medical examiner, old Fahmy Malik, ruled Collins' death a suicide.
Oh! The old 2 in the chest, 1 in the head suicide.
Like so many people do.
Yeah.
Coincidentally or not, only weeks before Collins was killed and roughly 6 months after Don and Kevin were killed, his friend Keith Coney had been killed in a motorcycle accident. The official story was that Coney had run his motorcycle into the back of a semi-truck.
Those things are hard to see.
They come out of nowhere
all the time.
While traveling, especially when you're on a motorcycle, you have a clear view. No blind spots on a motorcycle. While traveling at a high speed, witnesses, however, claimed that he was being chased by a vehicle, and while trying to escape, he had swerved into the back of the truck.
Yeah.
Witnesses who saw his body claimed that he had suffered a slashed throat and other injuries that did not correspond with a vehicular accident.
The semi had a knife? Semis and trains, they always have knives.
A lot of vehicles in Arkansas, they're equipped with knives. That's a little known fact.
Man.
Although it was the responsibility of the coroner to order an autopsy, he didn't.
Nah.
Because,
It was Friday.
Mm-hmm. Why would you?
It was Friday.
I gotta get out of here.
Yeah. Working for the weekend.
Keith was an acquaintance of both Don Henry and Kevin Ives and told his mother he knew something about their deaths but wouldn't tell her anything further. He did reportedly tell his father and a few friends, though, that he had been out with Kevin and Don the night they died and that the trio were approached by a police vehicle with 2 officers inside. Keith claimed to have fled on his motorcycle, but either witnessed or merely believed that Kevin and Don were killed by those officers. Shortly before his death, Keith had been subpoenaed to appear before the grand jury.
It's like someone's trying to hide something here.
It is almost like...
Yeah. Because I think I listened to the guy that got stabbed, he was saying that he saw the boys that night with somebody on a motorcycle, and then this guy, so there are like collaborating. Is that what they call collaborating?
Corroborating.
Another one of them words. Yeah.
Corroborating.
They saw the two boys, the motorcycle guy take off, and then the boys get thrown into the cop car.
So,
but he's dead now, conveniently.
Convenient. So it's crazy how much convenient things are happening here.
That help out whoever put these boys on the track.
So we're going to take a convenient break.
Okay, convenient.
And then we'll be right back with the second half of this story.
Okay.
And we're back.
Man, what a shit I just took.
What a big dump you just took in the middle of my room.
That's how you'll think about me later.
Yep. You're going to rub your nose in it. It's the only way you'll learn.
I'll never learn.
You'll never learn. So, we left off with a couple people that were...
Fuckery.
That probably had information about what happened. Both...
Dead. Died. Well, one killed himself. Well, and one died on accident. 3 people.
So 3 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One got stabbed 113 times.
One shot himself twice in the chest.
By a young kid. By basically an 18-year-old kid.
Even though he was
not all there.
Who fought people all the time.
Yeah. One of them ran his motorcycle in the back of a semi, and one of them shot himself.
Just out of nowhere decided, that semi looks like a passable lane. Wasn't.
And then one other guy shot himself twice in the chest and once in the head.
Yeah, which,
He was committed.
That's common.
Jesus Christ.
That's so common.
He's like, no, this is happening.
Did they make the semis back in, like this was 80-something?
Yeah.
With like the mirrored... You ever seen one of those?
Yeah, I have, where you can it shows you the road around them and stuff. Oh, no, okay, yeah, but they have those now,
I know
too.
what you're talking about.
Like, the sides are actually screens and, with cameras and stuff, you can actually see around them.
I haven't seen the ones, though, that, as you're behind, you're, looking... at the road more, and it's just confusing about what's going on.
Yeah, probably did.
That could be the reason why, but I don't think they made them then.
Or he smoked 20 joints.
Or half of one.
Man, I think we need to do a 20-joint challenge to really put this to rest.
Yeah, and see if we can remain conscious.
20 joints each in a 4 hours, is that what we said? Yeah, 4-hour time period.
I don't even know if it'd be... That's just non-fucking... it's fine. Yeah, I'm fine with it.
We're going to have to...
see what happens.
That's where our athletic genes take over,
Then we got to go spotlight animals.
Yeah.
We'll
spotlight Beasley.
We'll go down...
We won't hurt him. He's
near my dad's,
Uh-huh.
There's train tracks and a big open field that always has a bunch of stuff in it.
All right.
Like deer and stuff.
Yeah.
So we can go down there.
Lay on the train track.
I have a .22 rifle.
I have joints.
We'll see what happens.
All right. The men on the track.
The men on the track. That's what. Look, I'm all about experimenting and proving things in the name of science.
Yeah.
Whatever I have to do to do it.
In the name of science.
In March of '89, police received a tip that a man by the name of Daniel Booney Bearden, who had been missing for about 8 months, had been buried in a remote location near the Arkansas River.
He buried himself, didn't he?
Goddamn. You know how it is. You bury yourself. The search yielded a portion of clothing identified as Booney's, but no body and no other clues. Booney, alleged to have been a drug distributor, had been subpoenaed to appear before the grand jury. That's the real death sentence. As soon as you're subpoenaed to appear before the grand jury, you suddenly find yourself dead. It's crazy. He is suspected to have been murdered, but has never been located. In April of '89, a 21-year-old man by the name of Jeffrey Edward Rhodes, a reported drug dealer, told his mother he was in fear for his life, and called his father in Texas to say that he needed to get out of Arkansas as he knew way too much about those boys on the tracks.
Oh.
And about Keith McCaskill.
So he's dead now too then.
Only days later, Jeff's motorcycle was found on the side of the road with the kickstand down, as if he had stopped for someone. A week later, his body was found in a trash dumpster in Benton, Arkansas. He had suffered a gunshot wound to the head, as well as mutilation to his body that included his hands, feet, and head being partially sawed off.
Oh.
His body had then been set on fire.
So he killed himself.
Yeah. You know.
Jesus.
An anonymous caller...
Someone's watching too many movies. Like, we're going to cut off his hands and feet. Like, God, this is hard. Let's just burn him.
Yeah, it's just... an anonymous caller said that she believed Jeff may have stopped for a Benton police officer or officers and was then killed as there were corrupt individuals in the department. It was rumored...
Dirty cops? What?
Never heard of it. It was rumored that in the days before August 22nd and 23rd, 1987, Don Henry had purchased a small amount of marijuana from Jeff and had told him that he knew the ultimate dealer in Little Rock. He knows the guy.
Yeah.
A man by the name of Frank Pelcher was convicted of Jeff's murder and sentenced to life in prison. In July of 89, Richard Winters was killed by a shotgun blast to the face in what was initially thought to be a robbery, but was suspected to be a setup. Winters at one point had been considered as a suspect in the murders of Kevin Ives and Don Henry, but had offered to cooperate with the grand jury shortly before he was killed.
Shouldn't have done that.
Wise choice. The same year, 89, James Milam had been found decapitated in his home and with his head missing. This was good. Medical examiner Fahmy Malik claimed the death to be of natural causes brought on by an ulcer.
Oh!
He claimed that Milam's small dog had eaten its owner's head.
Oh!
Milam's head was later found in a trash...
That's a bad boy!
...was later found in a trash bin several blocks away.
So the dog put the head in the trash bin after he tried to eat it.
That's what Malik stated.
Huh.
Malik stated that the dog had regurgitated the head.
What?
Uh-huh. Yeah, so this man who was found decapitated in his home without his head, this fucking medical examiner says, yeah, he died of an ulcer.
Yeah.
And then his dog ate his head.
Uh-huh.
And then took a stroll.
And threw it up into the trash can.
Several blocks away.
Yeah.
And then just regurgitated the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right up. Like Yoshi. And, just left it laying there.
Yeah.
So, Milam was reportedly a witness to the drug operation that had been going around and to the murders of Kevin Ives and Don Henry. In June of 1990, Jordan Kettleson, rumored to have information on the murders of Don Henry and Kevin Ives, this poor bastard, and also rumored to have played a part in the murder of Keith
I'm afraid
McCaskill.
to go on with this podcast. I know too much myself already.
Too much.
Jesus Christ.
He was found with a shotgun blast to his head in the front seat of his pickup truck. His body was cremated before an autopsy could be performed.
You gotta get that shit done fast.
And no police investigation took place.
Oh.
Well, the body was cremated, so what are we going to do?
Another Friday.
In June of 95, grand jury witness Mike Samples was shot to death. Mike was allegedly involved in retrieving the drugs dropped from airplanes. Authorities, however, have denied any connection between his murder and the Ives-Henry case.
We didn't even ask you if they were connected. They just can't.
Yeah. So
this has nothing to do with that.
So the murders of Greg Collins, Daniel Bearden, James Milam, Jordan Kettleson, and Mike Samples all remain unsolved, and all have some connections
to the boys on the track. Yeah.
So a witness using the name of Jerry, came forward to say that he was sitting in a convenience store parking lot the night of the night this happened. The boys got killed, and saw 3 teenage boys. This is what you were talking about.
Okay, yeah.
One on a motorcycle, hanging out by the store, and he believed smoking some pot. According to Jerry,
20 joints worth.
I
couldn't believe how many.
All lined up in their mouths, 10 each. According to Jerry, a police car rolled up. The boy on the motorcycle took off, and the 2 officers ended up, quote, beating the shit out of the 2 remaining boys before throwing them in the back of the police vehicle. When Jerry went to the authorities with his story, he was jailed for outstanding child support. After being released from jail 90 days later with suggestion to leave town, Jerry picked up and left town. So
don't tell me twice.
Another witness, this one named Ron, had been at a club on Saturday night, the night this happened. He was driving home around 12:30 a.m. or so when he noticed a vehicle he took to look like a undercover police car around the convenience store that Jerry guy had mentioned. Ron claimed that he saw a young man that fit Don Henry's description being beat by 2 officers. He couldn't describe the second boy as his head was down. Both were thrown in the back of the vehicle, and the car eventually headed down where Ron knew to be a dead-end road. Ron had been drinking that night at the club, though, so he was kind of just pulled over and just waiting for the police to go away.
Yeah.
So he recalled that it had been about 15 to 20 minutes before the car returned. and he cannot tell if either of the boys were still in the back seat. 2 police officers were specifically named as suspects by witnesses and tipsters. Those 2 officers sued for defamation and lost their case. One of the officers later went to prison on drug-related charges, and the other eventually became a police chief and head of a drug agency.
Good. Cream always rises to the top.
Always. Even if it's sour. On September 10th, 1991, Dr. Fahmy Malak resigned his position as the medical examiner for Arkansas. What a loss. What a tremendous loss. After holding the position since 1979.
Oh, my God.
So, lots of years of bullshit.
Yeah.
And who knows how much damage he did. And years of questionable actions that included, other than what we've already mentioned, labeling a gunshot victim with 5 shots to the chest as suicide, testifying erroneously in criminal cases, mixing up tissue samples and DNA, and falsely accusing a deputy county coroner of killing someone because he misread a chart. Just, real good at his job.
Yeah.
But, like we just said, cream always rises.
Yep.
Once he resigned, it came out that when the grand jury had overruled his finding in the Ives-Henry case, then-Governor Bill Clinton hired 2 out-of-state pathologists to review Malak's findings, using a discretionary fund to cover the $20,000 cost of doing so. The 2 pathologists, in opposition to the doctors hired by Prosecutor Garrett, gave Malak high marks and suggested that he'd been given a raise.
Oh!
Clinton and his board decided not to review the Malak's files and his cases, and instead sent a proposal to the legislature to give Malak a 41.5% increase in salary. Clinton had also elected not to fire Malak, despite 4 years' worth of complaints about his practices. Malak had allegedly protected Clinton's mother, a nurse anesthesiologist, from potential charge of negligence and malpractice in autopsies performed on 2 patients under her care. Following his resignation as medical examiner, Malak was hired at the health department as a consultant on sexually transmitted diseases for $70,000 a year. It had also been discovered that when the previous medical examiner had retired, Malak, who had been working as his assistant, took over the role without proper medical credentials or qualifications to do so. He fortunately died in Florida in 2018.
He seems like he got to go to Florida.
Glad he's dead.
Jesus Christ. Good old boy indeed, man.
Good job, Bill Clinton.
He must have been sucking his dick.
Well, he helps his mom stay out of prison.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back.
Clintons love to kill people. They love it. As the years rolled on, Don and Kevin's case remained unsolved, but the rumors continued and law enforcement appeared to some to be unconcerned about bringing closure to the case. Attorney Dan Harmon, who had reached out to the Ives and Henry families to broker some sort of assistance, ran into his own legal troubles. As early as March of 1990, he was reportedly linked to illegal drug activity. In June of 91, U.S. Attorney Chuck Banks held a press conference to publicly clear Harmon and other Saline County officials of drug-related misconduct. One rumor was that Banks was blackmailed into shutting down any kind of investigation due to Harmon having tapes of sexual encounters by Banks with prostitutes. Harmon had also allegedly been facing 7 counts of income tax evasion. Several months after Banks held his press conference, he received a federal judgeship nomination by then-President George Bush. But then Bill Clinton won the presidency and withdrew all of Bush's nominations. In 93, Linda Ives was contacted by a young man who was 12 or 13 years old in 1987 when the boys were killed. Mm-hmm. He told Linda that he'd been out that night with some friends around the railroad tracks, and upon seeing lights had hidden in some bushes, he claimed to have seen Dan Harmon on the tracks, and that Dan had been involved in the killing of Kevin and Don. He personally knew Harmon, as Harmon had dated his mother. The authorities chose to give his tale little merit, even though he passed 2 lie detectors and was put into the witness protection program. So, they do all that, but they're not going to really follow it up.
They'd have to admit that they were wrong. And
also in 93, a witness by the name of Charlene Wilson came forward to accuse Harmon in the murders of Kevin and Don. She claimed that not only Harmon, but Keith McCaskill and a man by the name of Larry Rachel were involved in the deaths of Kevin Ives and Don Henry. She said she believed Kevin and Don were curious about the drug drop site and were caught. In her first statement, she claimed to have been high on coke and meth and only witnessed the boys being killed. In a follow-up statement, she claimed that under pressure from Harmon and high on coke and meth, she stabbed one of the boys with her own knife, but only a shallow, superficial wound. She also brought up the long-forgotten green tarp, which she said came from her own car.
Oh.
Shortly after providing her statement, Wilson was busted on a drug charge and prosecuted by none other than Dan Harmon.
Oh, there's no conflict of interest there.
None whatsoever. And despite it being a first-time drug offender charge, she was given 31 years sentence.
More than what the guy got for stabbing homeboy 113 times. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Mm-hmm. But, she said mean things about Dan Harmon.
Yeah.
So.
You can't talk about Dan Harmon.
Wilson had signed a statement in front of 3 law enforcement officers in 1993, and yet her accusation was buried in the case file until 2015. In early 1994, a pilot claimed to have flown a drug drop to the location that Kevin and Don were murdered. Just to give it a little bit more merit, that was probably the site. By November of 1996, when Harmon was the Saline County prosecutor, his then-wife was caught out of Harmon's jurisdiction with cocaine packages from the district's evidence locker.
Jesus.
That same year, he was driven out of office, resigning as part of a plea deal he took after beating a reporter from the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette who had asked him for a comment. How dare you ask?
I got a comment for you!
They're called my fists. In April of 1997, a federal grand jury indicted Harmon with racketeering, dealing in cocaine, manufacture of methamphetamine, extortion, witness tampering, and retaliating against an informant. 2 other men, a local attorney and the administrator of the drug task force, were also charged in the scheme. Harmon was convicted on 5 counts, racketeering, 3 extortion conspiracies, and 1 marijuana distribution charge. He was sentenced to 8 years in prison with an additional 3 tacked on for a subsequent drug charge. Glad to see this guy got into
somewhat
the politics. No, but how the fuck is this guy even he's clearly involved in just it's crazy.
How does he start off clean and then just does one little thing, then one more little thing, and just people don't want to get caught. The people go through a lot of shit.
Like watching that narco doc, or not, it's not a documentary, it's a series. Watching it, they had to, if that was the area they were dropping these drugs in, there was already money flowing to all those politicians and all the law enforcement just to turn the other, So I get, that makes sense, but it's just
crazy. They all have to watch out for each other, because if one gets busted, they all get busted.
Yeah.
And these 2 fucking kids just somehow got in the middle of it.
So once Harmon was sentenced, stories began to leak out. Some 900 criminal cases in Saline County had been dropped because Harmon, as then prosecutor, did not bring the cases within the legal statutory time of 1 year. 900 cases. Persons facing drug charges stated that Harmon demanded money in exchange for charges against them being dropped. Pretty sure that's illegal. One woman claimed that Harmon...
And that's when people are just at their lowest, man. Just so desperate.
And of course they're going to try to do
whatever the fuck they got to do to get this money to try to get out of these charges. And I'm sure some of the charges are probably fucking trumped up shit. That
you got a joint on you, and you're going to go away for 12 years. But if you give me $5,000, get you out of here.
I can make it go away, buddy.
One woman claimed that Harmon offered to drop charges against her husband if she would have sex with him. Harmon had been arrested previously and not only refused to take drug tests when arrested, but attempted to flee during one stop. He boasted...
Was I not supposed to do that?
Is that not how I do these things? He boasted of having physically struck another lawyer in front of a judge, and he faced no consequences for that. He was accused of battery by several women, including his ex-wife, who claimed that he had not only physically assaulted her, but he had threatened her with death. At every step, it appeared that Dan Harmon was protected, whether it be by judges, police, the Committee of Professional Conduct. They didn't revoke Harmon's license when he refused mandatory drug testing upon arrest, which is, probably something that you should look into. In 1999, the Arkansas Supreme Court disbarred Harmon. In 2006, he was released from prison after assisting prosecutors in a murder conspiracy case. In 2008, unbelievably, he was once again working for Saline County and on their payroll.
Oh my God!
Organizing files for the circuit clerk. So, but still. In February of 2010, he was charged once again following a 6-month drug investigation for selling morphine and hydrocodone near a school. The prosecution's case was weak, as the only testimony against Harmon was that of an admitted drug user, so he was acquitted. In 2016, Linda Ives filed a civil suit citing a Freedom of Information Act violation against multiple agencies, including the CIA, the FBI, and the Bryant Police Department. Miss Ives' action alleged a cover-up in her son's death. Over a year later, in November of 2017, a federal judge ordered 3 defendants in the suit, the Executive Office of U.S. Attorneys, the DEA, and the Department of Homeland Security, to turn over documents for private review that had formerly been redacted. The same judge dismissed several agencies from the suit, including the CIA, the U.S. State Department, the FBI, the Arkansas State Police, the Saline County Sheriff's Department, and the Bryant Police Department. The suit was dismissed in 2019. In February of 2018, former WWF wrestler Billy Jack Haynes recorded and released a video in which he claimed that while providing security for a drug trafficking drop in August of '87, he himself witnessed the murders of Kevin Ives and Don Henry. Haynes named 6 others that were at the scene, including 3 law enforcement officers, 2 attorneys / politicians, and a bouncer from a local club, which I'm assuming is, what's his name, that was stabbed 113 times. He claimed the corruption in the state went to very, very high levels. And I remember, when you brought this up, that was the one, you said something about Billy Jack Haynes, and I was like, oh yeah, I have heard, like, that part anyways. Cause
he said he was trying to raise awareness, to raise money so they could, open up an investigation for the family. And that's just all this bullshit, you kind of forget it's like there are families involved in this. That's 1987. God, that's 30-some years ago now.
It's just crazy to me.
No answers.
Billy Jack Haynes.
Yeah.
So 87 was like kind of his heyday. Mm-hmm. That'd have been around the time that he was like regularly on WWF.
Yeah, he said like he just wrestled like Andre the Giant and then flew down there. Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Went down there to be a hitman. He was supposed to go down there to kill some cops.
Well, he says he was there to provide security for the drop.
Because cops were, some of the dirty cops were taking more than what they should have or something.
Okay.
But then they ended it. He said he didn't kill the kids. He just saw it. I think he said he helped move the bodies onto the track.
Yeah,
maybe.
I do remember him saying that.
Yeah.
So that's just crazy.
Yeah, just when you think this story can't get any crazier, Billy Jack Haynes enters.
Well, I remember watching that video too of Billy Jack Haynes, and I was just like, did this dude just admit that he was like, and then like nothing ever came of it? Yeah. There was no like follow up.
Because they're just trying to sweep it all under the rug.
So, on June 25th, 1984, 21-year-old Billy Don Hainline, so this was, 3 years before?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 21-year-old Billy Don Hainline and 26-year-old Dennis Decker were found lying on a stretch of the Kansas City Southern Railroad 20 miles south of Oklahoma. Both were run over by the train and killed. The autopsies revealed that there was a slight amount of alcohol in one of the men's blood. Just a little bit close to the legal limit for drunkenness, but none in the other body. Their deaths were also ruled accidental by the county coroner, who believed that they had just fallen asleep on the tracks.
They were stabbed to death by the train.
Uh-huh. The state medical examiner's office, however, ruled the manner of death as unknown due to the small amount of alcohol and the fact that the bodies were lying together. Others are convinced that the two were victims of foul play. So, extremely similar cases here.
Yeah.
Their case was reopened in '85, with investigators focusing on the possibility that drugs were involved. The new investigation discovered that 1 month after Billy and Dennis were struck by the train, a secret meth lab was discovered less than 2 miles from the tracks where the bodies were discovered. In '87, the deaths were ruled accidental. Sheriff Charles Hurley said he believed the bodies were put there. The district attorney Ray Edelstein said he believed that people didn't simply lay down on the tracks and go to sleep from 3 miles from nowhere. He said it was also uncommon. It was not uncommon in the drug industry for people who don't play ball to be eliminated. So the Ives-Henry case in '87 caused the Hainline-Decker case to be looked into once again. LaFleur and Latimer County investigator Claudie Higgins stated he felt any similarity between the two cases was purely coincidental, with no connection whatsoever.
Other than it being run over by a train.
Other than them being the exact same situation.
Yeah, other than laying right beside each other
now,
as
other
a
than
train
them being
ran them
identical, ain't no connection here. Higgins
get it out of your brains.
Higgins also stated erroneously that the blood alcohol level in both men was at the legal level for drunkenness, and the two had simply fallen asleep on the tracks. Lots of just people going night-night on train tracks.
I had a friend who drank. You know what happened to him?
Train tracks.
He got killed by a train!
There are no known suspects in the case, and it also remains unsolved. On August 20th, 1985, best friend Sean Reinecke, age 15, and his neighbor David Taylor, age 13, were killed when they were struck by Kansas City Southern freight train at a railroad trestle around 5 in the morning. According to Newton County Sheriff Mark Bridges, an investigation produced the theory that the boys were lying with their faces down between the rails when they were struck by the train, but foul play was ruled out. You know, like boys do.
Boys do. They
boys love.
Let's see how close we can get this train to our heads. What the fuck?
The train engineer reported that he did not see the boys when the train went over the trestle, which could be seen from both boys' homes. Some gossips claimed that Sean and David committed suicide, but according to their siblings and other family members, they were both looking forward to school and didn't exhibit any behavior to suggest depression and or suicide. On August 21st, 1989, almost exactly 2 years after Kevin Ives and Don Henry left the Henry residence to go hunting, 17-year-old Norman Ladner left his parents' local store in Picayune, Mississippi, to go hunting on the family farm. He was a popular high school student known for being kind and loving the outdoors. He also knew his family's property inside and out. He was also very punctual and responsible, so when he hadn't returned to the family business by 7 p.m., as he had historically done to help close up the store, his father suspected something was wrong and organized a small search party to look for Norman. Norman Sr. found his son lying on the ground under a tree, cold and with a bullet wound in his head. The Pearl River County Sheriff's Department arrived around 10 p.m. and roped the area off. Before the investigation had really begun, Pearl River County Sheriff Lawrence Lumpkin said from the start that he did not believe a crime had occurred. He said, he's fucking... Now, whatever you think it is not. I can guarantee you right now. He said he ruled it out because he saw nothing that supported a crime. Now, sure, there is a boy here with a gun wound to his head, but that is not a crime to me. Clearly not. He believed that Norman had been in a tree and had fallen, causing the gun to discharge.
Oh.
Accidentally, that's where you go. Like, you see a kid sitting there with a bullet wound and he's dead.
Yeah.
And you're like, what could I possibly come up with that
fell off a tree.
The coroner informed Norman's parents in the presence of two deputies that he was 90% certain that their son's death was accidental. When the official...
You don't worry about that other 10%.
No, man, we got to have at least 30% down.
Yep.
When the official ruling came down, though, the coroner had determined that Norman had committed suicide. His reasoning was that it was a typical suicide wound, a close contact head wound. The bullet entered the right temple and exited the left. Sheriff Lumpkin speculated that Norman had gone to an area that he felt comfortable in, and for reasons unknown decided to take his own life. Neither the sheriff nor the coroner explained how Norman...
It was a pretty far walk back, though. He was like, should I walk back or just kill myself?
You know what? Neither the sheriff nor the coroner explained how Norman managed to shoot himself in the temple with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Which would be a little difficult to do.
Yeah, that's some long arms. And...
Yeah, you have to be a pretty lanky kid. Yeah. Norman's family was horrified and offended. Norman had been a happy and outgoing young man, not depressed, and would never have taken his own life, according to them. They pointed out that the investigators never fingerprinted the gun, never ran a test to determine what kind of gun killed Norman, nor made any attempt to locate...
they were 90% sure they didn't need to do any of that stuff.
How much more sure do you need?
Yeah.
Like, what, 100? That's 10 whole percent. The investigation also had no explanation for why Norman's wallet with $140 inside was missing, or how he had received a 1-inch cut at the top of his head. Authorities speculated that he had fallen on a bloody tree root found at the scene, but the Ladners did not understand how Norman could have ended up with a cut to the top of the crown of his head. Discouraged, they began their own investigation, and in doing so, found a bullet in the dirt underneath where Norman's head had lain. The bullet had dried blood and hair on it and was not the size to fit in Norman's gun. The Ladners believed that Norman was lying on the ground when he was shot by someone in a standing position. Sheriff Lumpkin dismissed their finding and their claim, stating his belief that Norman was in a standing position when he was shot, making it impossible for the fatal bullet to end up underneath his head. So he's basically saying, look, I know what the evidence shows, but that ain't what happened. The bullet that Ladners found, in his opinion, was unrelated to the case. That's just another random bullet.
Give me 5 minutes, I'll find you a bullet. Bang! Look, there's a bullet.
It will be directly underneath the head of a dead person, but it will have nothing to do with that dead person. The Ladners turned the bullet over to authorities to be tested with the stipulation that it be returned to them. The bullet that was returned to them was a different make and caliber, not the same bullet at all. According to Norman's mother...
They won't even notice.
According to Norman's mother, when one of the Ladners trips to the coroner's office to question the ruling, she was approached by a stranger who told her to not open the case up, that she had other children to raise. For her own good, she should raise them, and that she would never find the person who killed her son. The unknown man disappeared before Norman Sr. could locate him. Norman Sr. continued to investigate the scene of his son's death, and during one of those visits found what appeared to be a homemade radio-like device hanging from a tree 300 yards from where Norman's body had been discovered. Authorities naturally said it was not important to the case.
Naturally.
But Mr. Ladner...
He was like, hey, we found this. You're like, oh, that doesn't matter. You're like, no, but I didn't tell you what we found. It doesn't matter, though. It has nothing to do with your son.
Whatever it is, we are not changing our mind on this. Mr. Ladner took it to a former DEA agent who said it was a type of device that drug dealers use to signal aircraft by sending out a low-range signal for the correct alignment to drop a shipment of drugs. Sheriff Lawrence Lumpkin was later charged with dogfighting and other illegal activities. Rumor had it he had ties to the local Dixie Mafia group drug cartel, although nothing was ever proven. He died in 2007. Norman's case remains unsolved, but clearly seems like it was also a matter of stumbling onto a drug drop. So, that is just, a lot of unsolved fucking...
A lot of bullshit.
Murders involved here. That all point to...
Just so, like, rich people could get richer and people who are in power don't get in trouble.
Mostly the people that are in power get to stay in power.
Yeah.
Yeah, and get a little bit of, some spending money.
That's some bullshit.
So, it just seems like a whole lot of corruption that just ran fucking deep through that area. And a lot of families left with, not knowing what happened, and law enforcement agencies that just look at them and say, we know, what we're saying goes against everything that you're seeing, but you just gotta take our word for it.
Imagine living in those towns and just knowing that, how inept the police force is, and just, how hopeless that would feel.
Because you either gotta look at it as, everybody involved in this, all the people involved that could be doing something, in law enforcement and politics. So you either gotta look at it as, they're all fucking corrupt, and they're all bought and paid for by somebody, or these are the dumbest motherfuckers alive, and why are they there in the positions they're in? So, it's got to be one or the other.
It's got to be a little bit of both. The ones that don't come forward are just too dumb, or there's some, where you can't knock on your brother or whatever. I don't know. It's just such a mess. Such an awful story.
Yeah, so like I said, I had never heard of it, or I had kind of the Billy Jack Haynes thing, but I really didn't know what he was talking about. But you brought the story. It's an interesting one. It's fucked up. Who knows how much of that shit's happened? Well, just throughout time.
Yeah. They just did get swept under the rug, and
especially small towns like that back in the 80s and shit.
Poor families and
who are you gonna go to?
There's no news outlets, or anything.
You can't post it on Facebook and Twitter and get people investigating.
Come after me, motherfuckers! So if you guys find out that I got ran over by a train that stabbed me to death, don't believe what the police say.
Don't believe it.
I didn't want to be there. I was high, but I wasn't that high.
Yeah, for the record, I'm never going to go lay down on train tracks.
No.
It's too uncomfortable. I like to be comfortable.
There's other ways I would kill myself before being ran over by a fucking train.
Definitely not getting ran over by a train. No,
Jesus
thank you.
Jesus Christ. I'll smoke 20 joints and that'll kill me.
Yeah. I mean, I do like your idea of taking the challenge. So,
I know you do.
We'll see how that goes. So yeah, that's our story for the week.
We're sticking to it.
I know next week I was thinking do a couple movie reviews, horror movie reviews.
It's Halloween season.
It is Halloween season. It's my favorite time of the year.
Uh-huh.
I watched The Invisible Man earlier today. The 1930
something.
Such a good movie.
Yeah. Couldn't wait to spring that one on me, could you?
So good. Just such a ridiculous. And it's like, man.
Did it have a beginning, middle, and end?
Yeah.
Okay,
it
good.
does, yes.
Awesome.
And it's such like man, I miss when movies were like, because the biggest problem with Smile is that it was a little bit too long. Like
yeah.
it could have had a half-hour cut from it. The Invisible Man is an hour and 11 minutes.
Oh wow!
And it uses. I mean, it's an hour. It's an hour 11 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, like there might be like a 20-second logo of the movie studio, and then at the very end like another 20-second movie studio. But other than that, it starts. It's the end, and that's all. You're out.
There's a middle in there too.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
And like that's what a horror movie should be like. Like 70 minutes, 80 minutes tops.
Yep. I agree.
Get in, get out.
All movies.
All movies for the most part, yeah. Like I saw the new Hellraiser is on Hulu.
Hulu, yeah.
And I was thinking about watching it, but
is it long?
Apparently it's like 2 hours and something. And then somebody said it's so dark that you can't even see anything.
Man, that's how Game of Dragons was. I thought my TV was broken. I was watching it on HBO, but then I saw a bunch of other people complaining about it too.
Yeah, I'm out on Hellraiser now.
I'm old as hell.
Yeah, let me see things.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spend 2 hours. Like,
I'll watch it, but I'll probably split it up.
Here soon I'm going to watch on Disney Werewolf by Night. That DC or Marvel Comics thing.
I shrugged my shoulders. Listeners couldn't hear that.
It's black and white.
Oh yeah.
It's based on a Marvel series from back in the day.
Okay, but it's new, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it just came out, but it's 55 minutes.
Oh, sweet.
That's fucking that's awesome. Like, quit.
I can stay awake for 55 minutes.
Yeah, quit making me sit through 2 hours of things. Yeah. So, but yeah, I was thinking maybe we'll review next week. You're Next.
You're next. I'm next.
It's called You're Next. And,
what's it on?
I'll find it.
Okay.
Yeah. And if not, I think I have it. And then I don't know. We'll figure out the second movie.
Sure.
So yeah, we'll be back next week with
rock and roll.
And then I'll look for a story that we can maybe throw in.
And I won't do anything
October related.
I'll watch the movies.
Yeah, you watch the movies.
Yeah.
So you've never seen You're Next?
I don't think so.
Like the group of people go to like stay out in a place kind of middle of nowhere, and like they get attacked by people wearing like animal masks. Okay,
maybe
it's good.
Maybe
it's fun.
Okay,
yeah,
I'll watch it anyway.
Main character looks like, or one of the main characters looks identical to Adam Johnson, that runs Remix Pro.
Okay,
yeah, it weirds me out.
I'll also watch it.
So, all right. Well, you got anything before we get out of here?
Do you want a dating update?
Oh yeah, I forgot. We were gonna last week.
This isn't really a dating
episode,
update.
We had a little bit of dating talk.
Yeah,
so
got too real.
You said you got a little bit of an update.
Well, first off, my mom saw the post. She was like, "So what's going on your dating?"
Yeah,
and I was like, "Just don't listen, Mom."
So I'm gonna get a hold of her, let her know that I'm trying to help you.
But I went to like what we talked about last episode too, was the Monsters Horrid opening night, and I was there. And I was inside the store helping Aaron, but then, like, it's downstairs in Marietta in this building. So I went out the back door, around the front door for the big opening so I could walk in with everybody. And I walked in, and my rebound from my marriage was there.
Oh.
With her new man, which they've been together ever since we stopped talking. But it was a weird situation because we kind of mutually ghosted each other.
Right.
But, like, I'm not used to running into people that I've had relationships with. Like Laura, my ex, you know. I run into her when we exchanged a kid, but it's like, I've never, like, that's, like, I was going to, like, be nice and say hi. Like, I kind of looked at her and did, like, the head nod, and she gave me a look like, don't talk to me, don't look at me. It was just really weird. And then Laura was there, too, at one point. So
this was not the dating update I was hoping for.
Yeah, it was really bad. I was like, oh, man, like, I've only really dated 2 people, and they're both here right now.
They're both here.
And they both kind of hate me. I don't know why. Like I said, we had fun, but we kind of just mutually ghosted each other. And like a week after, of course, we didn't talk for a week, but I just saw her like post about how she was in love with this dude. So I think she was like kind of talking to that dude at the same time she was talking to me. Yeah. And, that was fun.
I don't know, man. Some people, apparently, after meeting somebody for a week, they tell them they love them. So,
Maybe I should try that.
I don't think you should try it. To me, it's a bad call.
But yes, I could imagine, like we were talking about our friend that's probably, people that sleep with a bunch of people. Like, you gotta just see them out.
Yeah.
What do you do? Like, I'd be like, hey, remember that time we wink wink?
Yeah, you just what you got to do is you just got to power through, act like this is a normal fucking thing.
That's what I did. Yeah.
You're just like, what's going on? How you guys doing?
And I tried, but it was shot down.
And then if they
talk
try
shit about them on your podcast,
if they try to make things awkward, then you just go in hard, like you just like, oh yeah, remember when we fucked? Like you like bring up something real awkward and weird, and just make the whole thing uncomfortable, and then everybody wants to get out.
Our whole time hanging together is pretty uncomfortable and awkward.
Yeah.
But that's why they call it a rebound, I guess.
Right.
But I guess that's my little bit
and
of
that's
update.
mostly dating.
Yeah.
It's just weird. It's uncomfortable.
I'm not going to do it.
I mean, it's just one of those things where like you can't think about it.
Yeah.
You just gotta let eventually shit either happens or it doesn't.
I'm a pretty good thinker though.
So
I think about everything all the time.
Thinking will get you every time. It's all I do too.
Right. I'm gonna smoke 20 joints. Maybe it'll shut my brain off.
Yeah, I mean maybe.
You get hit by a train.
Don't do that.
Okay.
Just avoid trains.
So the update is there is no update, but I was just forced into an awkward situation. It's probably not awkward for everybody. Or more.
Yeah, I feel like that. I feel like that about everything I think is awkward.
Yeah.
I'm like and then like afterwards, I'm like that person did not give a fuck. But in the moment, I'm like, this is the most awkward thing ever, and they're freaked out about it, and I'm freaked out about it, and everybody's uncomfortable. And then like,
it's like you overthink
the next day, I'm like looking back, and I'm like, I'm the only one that cared. I'm the only one that cared about any of that.
I should go on my tombstone. I'm the only one that cared.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm with you. Let's get buried together, and then I'll just put.
Did you say get married?
Buried. But we'll get married too. Whatever.
Can we be touching?
Can we get married?
Get put in the hole where our shoulders are rubbing against each other?
No, I don't want that.
Oh, okay.
We can be side by side.
We can go foot to head. Head to foot.
No. I don't want any of that.
Okay.
We can be married we can be buried. We'll be married first.
I do.
And then I do too. And then buried. But we gotta have some space. But then down in like the dirt, there can be like a little tunnel.
Okay.
Where our hands.
Okay.
Can be
hidden about
interlocked.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Hidden about holding.
Oh, I think you said hidden our buttholes. Then I was like, I'll be dead, so whatever.
Yeah. Put whatever you want.
Do whatever you want with me once I'm dead. I don't care.
All right, that's a verbal contract.
But no,
right
yours
there.
will say I'm the only one that cared, and the mine will just say ... ditto.
Ditto. Yeah. Okay.
So
cool. So something to look forward to.
Yeah. Yay! All right. Well, we got to get out of here and start writing our vows and our
obituaries.
Wills.
Yeah.
We got a lot of work to do.
We do.
So
I'll let you do it all.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.